Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicholas Haywood, Sr. I done heard the story of Anthony Rosario, Hilton Vega, and Malcolm Ferguson so many times, but every time I hear Margarita or Juanita speak, it's very painful for me to listen to that story over and over and over again. And me, myself, even to tell the story of my son, it's not easy to do. My son was a 13-year-old honor student when he was killed. He grew up in the Gowanus houses in Brooklyn. He was an excellent student. He had just came home from school that day. Actually, school had just started. This was in September, so school had just started. He came home, he did his homework, and his friends came by and asked him, could he come out and play? So he went out and they were playing. They were playing a game of cops and robbers. They all had plastic toy guns. None of them looked at anything like a real gun. They say that when I first heard the story, it was coming from the Brooklyn DA and the police. They said that the officer received a 911 call of shots fired from the rooftop, and this officer responded alone. He said the stairwell lighting was very dim, and he heard like a clicking sound coming from the darkness of the stairwell, and he shot one time. He hit my son in the abdomen. He said everything happened in a split second. It happened so fast he wasn't able to. He didn't see Nicholas with a gun, or the toy gun. He said that things just happened very quickly. I think it was 2 years later in a deposition. A deposition is when the officer goes before, talks with your lawyers and his lawyers, and he explains exactly what happened. This was the first time I actually heard the officer's version of what actually transpired that day. The officer had said that Nicholas, when he first opened the door, he didn't see, there was no one there. He said that Nicholas appeared before him suddenly, and he jumped back up and down the stairs. And he said then Nicholas turned and pointed the toy gun at him and started clicking it, and that's when he fired and shot. Now this is a deposition, supposed to be a sworn testimony from the officer. And mind you, the reason that this case never went to a grand jury, there was no indictment or anything in the case. The case was just closed. And the reason it was closed was because of the statements that was made from Charles Hines. Now, Charles Hines is the Brooklyn district attorney. And let me tell you, since my son has been killed, there has been just maybe 2 prosecutions by Brooklyn district attorney Charles Hines. And there's been so many innocent, unarmed people, unarmed children that were killed by police in Brooklyn alone. And none of these cases have been prosecuted. There's a case where a young kid was shot in the back. They said he took a gun stand and pointed the gun at the police, find out that this kid didn't have a weapon at all, and he was shot in his back. There's another case where the kid was thrown against his backyard window, his backyard door, and he was shot in the back of his head. This kid right here, he was an Asian young man. And these cases right here, they just be like swept under the rug. And that's why it's important for me to continue to come out and speak. I've joined October 22nd Against Police Brutality. I'm a member of Parents Against Police Brutality. I try to let people aware of the realities of what is actually happening in this society with the New York City Police Department. Not just the New York City Police. Police all over this country is killing innocent people. This event here today is basically formed because of Amadou Diallo, and in that case there, I cried, so deeply when the case was just moved out of the Bronx to upstate Albany, and the police were acquitted and cleared of all the charges. We got to understand that these are innocent, unarmed people that are being, let me say human beings that are being gunned down and killed by cops. Unarmed and innocent people being gunned down and killed by cops. Not someone that's committing a crime or doing anything wrong. And they justifying every single case. And that's the bad part about this whole thing with police brutality. Each case is being justified, or everything is being justified. Margarita said, just with the case she came up with, justifiable homicide. All these cases being justified and innocent, these are innocent, unarmed people being killed. Come on, we gotta take a look at this. Why aren't the police going to jail? Are they really out here serving and protecting us? If a person came in here right now and shot me, is the police here to serve and protect it? Or are they just out here protecting the laws and making sure that you don't violate none of the laws that are being set up by this system? I mean, it's real important that we really take a real good look at what's actually happening. A year before my son was killed, he was arrested. He was 12 years old at the time. Now, what happened in that situation is the police came into the community. They was chasing someone. Me, my wife, my other son, who was 5 years old at the time, and Nicholas was standing outside. We seen the police coming in. They was chasing the kids through the community. So one of the kids came running towards us, and the police tackled him. We had a little dog. It was, I think it was 4 months old at the time. It started barking. The police pulled his gun and said, keep the dog quiet or I'm going to shoot him. He takes the guy, he brings him over to where they gathered up all the other guys that they were chasing. And he comes back to us, and he takes his gun, he points it in Nicholas's face. I says, hey, officer, what are you doing? He was standing right here. Why are you, what are you doing? So my sister and my wife told me, be quiet. I said, be quiet. This guy pointing his gun in, points the gun at me and told me, you better shut up or you're going to be in trouble too. So he brings my son over to where the rest of them are at, and he tells my son to lay on the ground. So I goes over to, I sees the sergeant. I said, excuse me, but that's my son, and he didn't do it. Absolutely, he wasn't involved in none of that. We were standing here. We watched the officers as they were chasing the people, through the projects. The cop said that he don't know what's going on. He just got there. So they picks my son up off the floor. They handcuffs him, puts him in the car. And I asked him, I said, what's going on, man? Why are you arresting my son? They don't give me no answer or nothing. They put him in the car and they bring him to the precinct. So I gets in my car, my wife and my sister and my other son, we drives up to the precinct. So we waiting there for about maybe 3 to 4 hours. Finally, they brings my son down and they says, we're sorry, he was the wrong guy. So I'm looking at my son, and he looked like he was, from the outer limits. He was like shocked, dazed, like. So I asked him, I said, what happened? I said, what's the matter? So he was like, he didn't want to tell me right then. He just wanted to hurry up and get out of the precinct. I said, wait a minute. I said, Nicholas, we're not going anywhere. I said, just tell me what happened. What happened? What's the matter? So he says, while he was upstairs, he said they put him in a lineup. He said the officer told him that if he don't be quiet, he's going to take the gun and stick the gun up his butt and pull the trigger. He said, Daddy, I was scared. I was telling him I didn't do anything. He told me to be quiet. He kept telling him to be quiet, but I kept telling him I didn't do anything. He told me to shut up, or he'd take the gun and put it up my butt and squeeze the trigger. And he also told him that he wouldn't live to be 15. He was 12 years old at the time. We went to this CCRB, Civilian Complaint Review Board. 2 days later, we filed a complaint against the officer. The complaint was basically found substantial or something they had wrote up. But they didn't give us, the complaint didn't actually go through until after Nicholas was killed. So all the time that I'm going back and forth, trying to prosecute these cops, they actually didn't do absolutely nothing. I mean, nothing was done. So, I mean, it's just sad that, we have to continuously be out here fighting and protesting and speaking of the injustices that's been handed out. This case with my son happened 15 years ago. In 1994, my son was killed. And here I am today, and I will continue to be here. I mean, there's actually no stopping. I mean, I don't have a problem, speaking out of the injustice that happened with my son and all the other family members. But it's just sad that we could never get no justice in any of these cases. I mean, it's sad, the Sean Bell case, Amadou Diallo, or Malcolm Ferguson. I mean, it's just so many cases. It's just unbelievable. I know a lot of you probably never even heard of Nicholas Haywood Jr. until today. I mean, and it's important that that you really, I see a lot of young people out here today too. I'm really glad to see y'all here today. It's just important that, you go out and you let people know that, the police aren't here to actually protect you. They just aren't. That's not their job. Their job is not to protect us. It just isn't. But, oh man, it's just so much that, one can say in regards to, police brutality and police violence, police murder. I mean, I have another son. He's 21 now. He was 6 years old when Nicholas was killed. He also was a student. He was in a situation where he was arrested his last year in high school. Police came, knocked on the door. Actually, he wasn't there when they came to the house, but they knocked on the door. When I answered, they said that your son was involved in a robbery. I said, not my son. I said, my son wasn't involved in no robbery. He said, your son named Quentin? I said, yeah, my son's name is Quentin Heyward. He said he was involved in a robbery, looking for him. I said, well, he's in school. They went to his school and they arrested him. Went and had to post a bail in order to get him out of jail that night. In that case, he went back and forth to court for over a year. And finally, when the trial was getting ready to start, they dismissed the case. This is something that, a lot of things have been, going on, in my life with the police department, since when you speak out against the injustices that happen to you, they target you. They have they've knocked on my door, banged on my door, 6 o'clock in the morning. This was the morning of one of our national days of protest, October 22nd, to stop police brutality. They banged on the door 6 a.m. in the morning, saying that they had a warrant for my arrest, an outstanding warrant for my arrest, for not having a leash on my dog, and they arrested me. These are the things that that they do to the parents, because we are outspoken on what's the realities of what's happening. But regardless to what they do, they could try to intimidate us as much as they want, whatever they like to do, because we're going to continue to speak out. We're going to continue to make our voices heard. And with that, I would like to say thank you.